Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Frank Salas, also known as the talented Mr. Salas, broadcasting live on a Friday afternoon here in sunny Austin, Texas. It is June 3rd, 2016, and we are doing our very first Digital Nomad series with the one, the only Miss I Work Where I Want, Kate in Hawaii. Kate, tell everybody who you are.
Hey everyone, my name is Kate and I'm based out of Waikiki in Honolulu, Hawaii, and I've been a digital nomad for about 3 years, traveling around the world and working where I want, and happy to be here today.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I was doing this interview series and doing my research, and I was going on Twitter and I typed in digital nomad and I found a list, and you were on some list of digital nomads and I was going down and I saw your t-shirt, and your t-shirt says, "I work where I want." And I was like, that is awesome. And then I saw that you were in that kind of space. So I just reached out to you. Can you tell people what it is that you do for a living? I know it's a very, fun question to answer.
Yeah, I have a couple different gigs. Mainly all of them are based online. My main source of income is probably working for Linkopedia.com. We're a knowledge hub tech app. And it's basically kind of a contextual way to search the internet. So I communicate with our team. It's a fully dispersed team. Our developers are in Colombia, the founder's here in Hawaii, but he also lives in France part of the year. So we're all over the place. I also own a couple Airbnbs here in Hawaii and then one in Vietnam. And I'm actually going to Italy and Greece next week to look for other property over there too. And in one of the buildings in Vietnam, there's a chocolate shop in the bottom that we just opened too. So it's a little bit of everything, but it's fun. It's a sweet life.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So, I'm a digital nomad. You're a digital nomad. You're used to it. But for people that are just getting introduced to something like this, where did you start? Like, did you wake up with Airbnb properties and chocolate where in Korea?
Vietnam.
In Vietnam.
Hoi An, yeah. I was working for a medical device company in Silicon Valley, and I was getting burnout, and I probably did stuff that wasn't totally legit, but I was supposed to be working from home and ended up coordinating flights to go on the kind of working vacations where I could still be online according to like Pacific hours. And flew to Bali and went to Thailand once and went to the Philippines. And I was like, this is the life. This is what, all people should do. And there was a ton of people that in the co-working places that I met and found while I was traveling around. And so I'm like, I'm not the only one doing this. There's obviously a whole culture and evolution here. And so I just kind of continued to do it and then eventually decided to part with that full-time job and commitment and start my own consulting. And so that's how I picked up these other clients.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So right now, your biggest client is you're doing consulting for Linkopedia, right?
Correct. Yep.
Nice. Nice. And how long have you been working with them?
I've been with them about 3 years. Yeah, a little over 3 years now.
So some people think consultants kind of just go in and then they get out, but you've been a consultant for 3 years. How are you a consultant and not an employee? Can you break that down for people?
Oh yeah, we're a startup. Super easy. We, had an MVP product and have been tweaking it and developing it over the last 3 years. The messaging, the product itself, evolved into what it is today. And, we've gone and done all sorts of activation tests and, did a little mini US tour where we went around to different co-working places and just launched the product softly to see what people thought about it, went back, took feedback, evolved the product some more. And now we just got nominated for a top 100 Red Herring Award. So I'll be going to LA next week to present for that award. And it's basically an award for disruptive technology. So if we win that award, it'll be super cool. And we're right in the middle of getting funding. And so that's a really good timing for us where we're getting a little bit of eyeballs put on our site and our name. And so as a brand, we're starting to get a little more traction. But yeah, after 3 years, startups can't afford sometimes to pay employee benefits and to, have a full corporate structure. And I've only worked for startups my whole life. And so I totally get it. And I'm fine being a consultant with them anyway. It's a little bit more flexible for me too.
That is phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. So you got a lot of stuff popping, and I just want to make it official here on Blab that I was your first Blab follower. So when you make it big, I was number one. I was there from day one.
Yeah, I need some more followers. So if anybody wants to follow me, please do.
Yeah, follow Kate. She's at I Work Where I Want. So what social media platforms do you use, or how do you use social media? Because social media marketing and consulting is my business. How do you use social media?
So I'm a big fan of Gary Vaynerchuk, and there's so many platforms these days and channels where I've kind of had to scale it down to 2 because I don't have enough time to actually like work the channel appropriately. So I mainly use Twitter and Instagram. And yesterday I actually signed up for Snapchat. So like, I think I have like 4 friends on Snapchat too. But I'm going to try to stick to Instagram and Twitter just because Twitter is a great way to reach out to people for networking connections. And then Instagram, obviously, I work where I want. I can take pictures and different experiences and videos of things, that I'm encountering in my travels. So it's a fun little place to keep all that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You have 5 followers now because Claudia is following you everywhere, especially on Snapchat. And
Awesome.
Claudia is a member of our talent tribe. And in the talent tribe, I developed a ghost code hack, which are you familiar with ghost codes?
No, have not.
So go, and on Snapchat right now, the only way that, at least through the app, you can find new people is if you have their username, if you have their snap code, or if you have their phone number. But somebody saw the need or the void in the ability to discover other Snapchats, and they built the platform. That platform is called Ghost Codes. And I left a link for everybody joining us in our live studio audience here at Blab, and it's bit.ly/ghost code hack.
Cool.
And what that is, it's a training that I did here on Blab with one of my fellow growth hackers. That's what I do, is I growth hack social media and put people in spaces that are emerging, that are taking traction. There's so many thousands of social media apps that hit the marketplace, and like there's only a few unicorns that come out per year,
right?
And they all have different life cycles. And I get people right at the very tip. It's my job to stay right there with the developers, right there with the people that are pumping those products out, and I know which one's going to hit before it hits. And so with Ghost Codes, this came out maybe about I'd say 5 weeks ago now, maybe 4.5 weeks ago. We got on it day one, got the tribe on it, and it's a way for people to follow you on Snapchat. So because I had no affiliation with Ghost Codes at all. Like I knew them a little bit, like I knew the peeps in there, but I didn't know them. And I would promote for them on Periscope, on live stream, and they made me a featured person on their under real estate, and that's what I do. I do real estate, and so. Right now, because of that, every day when I wake up, I have dozens of new Snapchat followers, and I have to introduce myself every day on Snapchat because I have so many people, and if I don't, I would lose out on followers. So, I know you said that you don't have the time for social media. I have a social media calendar that I'm going to send your way to show you how I work it and how I recommend to best leverage it. And I do like, lots of people are like lifestyle social media people, and I would consider myself the same thing. It's just my lifestyle's business. I love doing what I'm doing, and that's really where I want to just give you a little bit of value, guys. R. Jones says, I saw your I Work Where I Want t-shirt and a post on Twitter profile. You sell those. Can you share a link to buy one? Yes, we sell them at iworkwhereiwant.com. That's awesome. Claudia Santiago wants one as well. That's amazing. That's
awesome.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a cool shirt. So that's kind of where I play on my end.
I like it. I'm going to have to try that out with my new Snapchat account.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So with your businesses right now, your life is crazy. Your life just seems crazy to most people. How do you deal with like is everybody in your family a digital nomad? Like, I'm sure they want you to come home for Christmas. I'm sure you have weddings and all these things to go to. Like, how do you work being a digital nomad in your lifestyle?
Good question. It is a little crazy. I probably don't have a normal schedule. One thing that I do maintain is like fitness and like meditation, keeping my mind straight, because with so many distractions, you can just totally get lost in a zone of nothing if you don't have any sort of direction. So every day I get up and run, or I do some sort of meditation. But I try to plan trips where I have layovers to go visit my sister in Southern California. My parents are in San Francisco. And luckily, from Hawaii, there's a lot of pass-through flights from there. living in Hawaii, you get a lot of visitors. So I have a never ending list of people always coming to want to see me. And it's just always coordinating schedules, you know, if I'm going to be here in the country. And so I try to figure out Christmas, you know, and holiday plans with my family. So we're actually going places together.
Nice.
We'll probably go to Vietnam for Christmas this year. But I don't know, family is everything, and you just kind of make it work. And, you know, before I'm single now, but I was traveling with my boyfriend for 2.5 years. And we went everywhere and worked everywhere together, and it worked out really good. But it is hard to find somebody that has a flexible schedule like that too, because, you know, you can kind of turn your laptop on and do whatever you want, you know, at any time. And it's hard for other people to get time off or have that same flexibility. So
when people meet you, what is their reaction to you? When you tell them like all the stuff that you do, what do you typically get?
They are like so confused. They're like, what do you do again? Like, I seriously think even some of my friends are like, oh yeah, that's Kate. She's our friend in Hawaii, but she does a bunch of things. We don't really know. But a lot of my friends, they are super excited and pumped for me. And, you know, kind of some of them wish they could do it themselves. And I'm like, anybody can do this. You know, you just have to kind of take a leap of faith and trust in the unknown a little bit and put yourself out there. So, you know, there's a lot of people, you know, in Southeast Asia where it's very cheap to live. So if you can figure out a way to get some sort of like US salary and, you know, get a plane ticket, you can do the same thing in another country and still save money too, which is a bonus.
Absolutely. I was in the Philippines for 3 months here this year from January to April, and I spent $3,000 living like a king.
Yeah.
In that whole time.
Yeah, you could probably get 5-star apartment or hotels and, you know, eat filet and lobster every night for that much down there.
Yup. Definitely. I want to go back to when you first maybe started making the shift in your life. Can you maybe break down that process a little bit more? Because someone who's listening to us right now on this interview series is probably working a 9 to 5. They're probably in an office and I know you said you don't like cubicles. Was it a cubicle rebel? Was that what the term was?
Yes, cubicle rebels. I was working in an office in Silicon Valley, and it was for a medical device company. We made anti-gravity treadmills. It was a very cool product and very cool people. But we were in this office that had 0 windows. There was cubes everywhere as far as you could see. And I had 6 people that reported to me and constantly would get up, walk over to their cube, their cube to my cube, and ask me questions all day. And so I was like, this is stupid. So I ripped out the divider of where it blocked off all of our cubes, and I put a table in the middle. And that was the first move where I'm like, hey, we're all going to be in this community here. If we need to ask questions, just talk to the person. We don't need to like get up, go back to our seat. And then finally, I convinced my boss to work from home a couple days because I was commuting an hour and a half each way to work and then working 10 hours at a startup. So it was like 13 hours of a day, you know, just work and driving. And I just got burnt out and worked from home for a little while, and then just was like, this is not the way to live. You know, I'm not happy. By the time I get to work, my creativity is totally drained. I'm not producing the best amount of work I can do, and decided to move to Hawaii. And because I knew that out here, like the lifestyle was exactly what I wanted. I had a little bit more flexibility with my time. I would wake up at 5 and start work, but I would be done at 1. And so then I had the rest of the day to go surf or go to the beach or something. And nobody could really, you know, give me crap about it.
Right.
So I did that for 3 years over here. And during that time is when I started traveling and starting to see that there was other people co-working and that were working as digital nomads all over the world. And so I found this company called nomadlist.com, and there's, I think, 10,000 members, but they're people from all over the world that, you know, kind of help create this culture and give information on the best places to work, internet speed, you know, how cheap it is to travel places, the best gear to use when you're traveling. And so that was like a really good community to be a part of. And I loved it. And I met so many great people, you know, while I was in Bali. I was there for a month, and I went to Thailand and Singapore for a little bit and met some other interesting people. And you just see a lot of cool stuff that you don't see in the US because it's a little fogged sometimes by the culture of you have to work 9 to 5 and you have to do it this way. And you don't. You really, I mean, there's so many different job sites that you can seek out. There's, you know, we work remotely, and what's the other one? That's gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now. Flexjobs.com, and then there's Nomad List has a job site too, but there's so many out there, including Upwork. I mean, you can find any kind of work you want, and just start. That's the only thing, is just taking the courage to just be like, bye, 9 to 5, I'm ready to go have a little bit more fun with my life.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's phenomenal. That's great. That was really great. I love that. I love that. So can you tell us what it's like to run into, or like maybe connect with other digital nomads? Like, I have several digital nomad friends, and like you and I get it, like, or at least for us, at least for our version of what it is. You know, everybody has a different version of that. And so can you explain to run into another digital nomad?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's exciting. And, you know, I met this couple that ended up getting married, and instead of having a traditional wedding and a reception and honeymoon, they donated all of the money they got from their family to build a well in Africa. And then they spent the next 2 years of their first, you know, married lives traveling the world. And so I met them at Ubud or Hubud, which is the co-working place in Bali, in Ubud, Bali. And they were, you know, talking about all the places they went, you know, Wi-Fi troubles, like trying to make conference calls on time, figuring out SIM cards. I mean, you share a lot of the same kind of like funny stories. I know that when they went to Vietnam, they worked in the same co-working space that I did, and they also worked in the same spot in Manila in the Philippines. And so we all shared these little similar stories, and then they would send me places to go if they went somewhere and I was heading there next. And so it was great. And I still keep in touch with them on Facebook. They're really good friends of mine. They were out here in Hawaii earlier this year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What is the most favorite thing you love about being a digital nomad?
Just being immersed in new culture. You realize like how great you have it, and you know how much control you have back over your life when you can get work done, get paid for it, and then go explore an entirely new country, you know, in your time off, rather than just go home and do the same old gym, commute, eat routine. So
Definitely. If you were somebody, if you had to give yourself like one piece of advice, like when you were there, kind of just driving yourself nuts, and you're a pretty chill chick, so you probably didn't drive yourself nuts, but when you were, you know, when you were making that change, what is the number one advice you would give yourself?
have more confidence. I knew that I had the inner confidence, but I didn't actually live it. And so do it sooner, because you get one life. And if you're going to do life well, do it now. So
I love that.
I worked in a field where we had a lot of injured, rehabilitated people. You know, there were people that were getting strokes at the age of 40. And I'm just looking at this like, oh my God, I've only been to so many countries. There's so much more of this world I want to go see. And don't let haters or the naysayers like tell you like it's, you know, unconventional or not traditional or anything. Like just go do it. And, you know, if things don't work out, you can always go back and get a 9-to-5 job. There's a lot of jobs out there. So, but do it now. Don't wait.
Absolutely. That is phenomenal. That's phenomenal. On that note, I think we're going to end this conversation. This was phenomenal. This was great. I'm going to stop the recording here. And for those of you guys who are in the live studio audience, if you want to jump in and maybe introduce yourself or meet Kate, we can definitely arrange that. But for everybody catching us, we really appreciate that you joining our podcast. Kate, how can people find you?
I work where I want on Twitter and then also on Instagram, or you can just type in Kate Yanov on Facebook.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Kate. We really appreciate that. And I'm going to stop the recording right now.